Nearly 80% of Americans over the age of 65 take at least one dietary supplement. Across all American adults, it's about 60%. And now, nearly 1 out of every 6 adults takes 4 or more supplements. That's a lot of vitamins, minerals, herbs, gummies, powders, and capsules. But how confident are we that every bottle contains what the label says? How much evidence does a supplement company need before making a claim? And what exactly does the FDA verify before a supplement reaches the market? Because the answer is probably less than most people assume. Recently, the American College of Physicians published a major position paper arguing that dietary supplements are underregulated. The ACP wants Congress to require product registration, evidence-based review, pre-market FDA approval, and quality standards established by the United States Pharmacopeia. They're also asking for stronger surveillance, more aggressive policing of supplement advertising, and a national database that would tell consumers and healthcare providers exactly what is in these products. These would be enormous changes. So today, I want to explain what the current system actually does, where the legitimate problems are, and whether the ACP's proposed solution goes too far. I also want to be completely transparent here. I'm a pharmacist and nutritionist. I recommend supplements when I believe they are appropriate. And I also offer supplements through my own business for sale. So yes, I have skin in the game. But that makes quality, transparency, and responsible recommendations more important to me, not less. I'm not interested in defending bad products simply because I believe some supplements are useful. And I'm also not interested in pretending like the entire category is dangerous simply because some companies do behave badly. The honest answer, like so many things, is in the middle. Supplements are not completely unregulated, but the current system relies far too heavily on finding problems after products have already reached consumers. A new study published in JAMA looked at dietary supplement use among more than 63,000 American adults across 11 cycles of the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. In 1999 and 2000, approximately 51% of adults reported taking at least one supplement during the previous 30 days. In the most recent survey cycle, which covered 2021 through 23, that number now reached 60%. Use of 4 or more supplements increased from about 9% to 15%. Among adults 65 and older, supplement use reached 78%. And we aren't simply talking about people taking basic multivitamins. Supplement use has diversified. Standalone vitamin D use increased dramatically. Zinc and magnesium became more popular. So did omega-3s, turmeric, probiotics, collagen, melatonin, ashwagandha, and products marketed for immunity, stress, sleep, inflammation, gut health, and longevity. Now, that JAMA study tells us what people are taking. It does not tell us whether those products actually worked. It did not evaluate clinical outcomes. It did not determine whether the doses were appropriate. And it did not determine whether every product actually contains what its label said. That distinction matters. Popularity is not evidence of effectiveness. But when 60% of adults are participating in a market, we need reasonable confidence that the products are accurately labeled and the dangerous products can be identified quickly. One of the most common statements you hear about supplements is that they are completely unregulated. That is not accurate. Dietary supplements are regulated primarily as a category of food rather than as prescription or even over-the-counter medications. Like food, supplement manufacturers are legally responsible for producing safe products. They must follow a set of regulations called dietary supplement current good manufacturing practices. Those rules address manufacturing procedures, quality control operations, ingredient specifications, record-keeping, labeling, and protection against contamination. Manufacturers are also responsible for ensuring that their labels are accurate and that their claims are truthful and not misleading. Just like with food suppliers, the FDA can inspect manufacturing facilities. It can issue warning letters. It can take action against adulterated or misbranded products. And manufacturers must report serious adverse events that are reported to them. So the industry is definitely not lawless. But here's the critical difference between supplements and medications. Most dietary supplements do not need to demonstrate safety and effectiveness to the FDA before they are sold. The FDA does not test the finished product before it reaches consumers. In many cases, the manufacturer does not have to submit the evidence it is relying on to establish safety. There are additional requirements for certain new dietary ingredients, but even that system is not equivalent to drug approval. FDA has acknowledged that it may not know some new products that enter the market. That means it cannot maintain a complete list of every supplement currently being sold in the United States. This is why calling supplements unregulated is inaccurate. A better description is this: supplements have manufacturing and labeling requirements, but limited pre-market review. Most enforcement regarding supplements is post-market. In plain English, regulators often have to identify the bad product after it is already being sold. Supplement companies can make what are called structure and function claims. A product might say it supports immune health, promotes relaxation, supports healthy joints. These claims do not require FDA pre-approval. The manufacturer is supposed to possess evidence that the claim is truthful and not misleading, and it must notify the FDA after marketing the product with that claim. The familiar disclaimer that appears on the label: this supplement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. That disclaimer is not meaningless, but let's be honest. Most consumers do not evaluate the difference between supports healthy blood sugar and treats diabetes with the precision that a regulatory attorney would. The marketing implication may be much stronger than the literal wording. That problem becomes even greater on social media, where an influencer can make a supplement sound like a treatment without saying those legally prohibited words. That is one area where I do strongly agree with the ACP. Marketing standards must apply just as aggressively to influencers and affiliates and social media advertising as they do to the traditional product labels themselves. So you may ask, are products being mislabeled? This is where the discussion does need some nuance. There are legitimate laboratory studies showing significant quality problems, but many of these studies purposely selected products from categories already considered high risk. They should not be used to claim, as some do, that 80% of all supplements are mislabeled. They're not. But these studies do show that the problem is real. In one study, researchers purchased 30 supplements from Amazon that were marketed for immune support. 17 of those 30 had inaccurate labels. Some were missing ingredients listed on the label. Others contained ingredients that were not disclosed on the label. Importantly, none of the products carried a third-party certification seal. Another study tested 30 online weight loss supplements marketed with military discounts. 25 of those had inaccurate labels. 7 contained hidden components and ingredients. 10 contained substances prohibited for military personnel. Weight loss supplements are already considered a higher risk category. So no, we cannot apply those same percentages to vitamin D or magnesium that are from reputable professional manufacturers. But the findings are still disturbing. Melatonin may be an even more relatable example. Researchers tested 25 different melatonin gummy products. 22 of those 25 were inaccurately labeled. Among products that actually contain melatonin, the amount ranged from 74% to 347% of the dose that was on the label. One product actually contained CBD, but no detectable melatonin. That is especially concerning when these brightly colored gummies are often given to children. If a parent believes a gummy contains 3 milligrams of melatonin, but it contains 3 times that amount, that label is not performing its most basic function. Another analysis reviewed FDA warnings that were issued between 2007 and 2016. Researchers identified 746 distinct supplement products containing unapproved pharmaceutical ingredients. These frequently involved weight loss, sexual enhancement, and muscle-building products. Some contained actual erectile dysfunction medications. Others contained stimulants, anabolic steroids, or steroid-like compounds. This type of adulteration is not an innocent marketing mistake or manufacturing mistake. Someone has deliberately added a pharmacologically active prescription drug to create a noticeable effect while selling the product as a natural supplement. That is fraud, and regulators should crush companies that do it. An older but important New England Journal of Medicine analysis used nationally representative emergency department data from 2004 through 2013. Researchers estimated that dietary supplements were associated with approximately 23,000 emergency visits and 2,100 hospitalizations annually. Weight loss and energy products frequently produced palpitations, chest pain, and rapid heart rate. Another major contributor was children that were taking these medications without adult supervision. Among older adults, choking and difficulty swallowing large vitamin and mineral pills accounted for a significant portion of events as well. Now, those numbers are based on older data, so I would not present them as a precise estimate of exactly what is happening in 2026. But 23,000 emergency visits must also be considered in the context of the enormous number of people using supplements. Roughly 145 million people in 2013. That's 0.0159% of those people. This study does not prove that the entire category is unusually dangerous. It proves that supplements can cause meaningful adverse events, and that the idea that natural automatically means safe is nonsense. Anything capable of producing a biological benefit is also capable of producing a side effect, an interaction, or even a toxic effect at the wrong dose. So let's get back to the ACP and what do they want to change? The ACP wants a much stronger pre-market system. Their recommendations include mandatory registration and evidence-based FDA review. They want supplements to receive pre-market approval and meet USP quality standards. They want more funding for FDA inspections and surveillance and enforcement. They want a national public database containing product ingredients, the available research, and known drug interactions. They want better adverse event reporting. They want electronic health records to document supplements alongside prescription medications. And they want stronger oversight of advertising, particularly claims made by paid influencers. There's a lot on that list that I do support. Mandatory product registration is overdue. The FDA should know that a product exists. They should know who manufactured it and where it was produced and who is legally responsible for it. Every product should have a unique identifier and traceable lot information. Consumers and healthcare providers should be able to search a reliable database, find the exact product, not attempt to identify it from a vague description such as some green bottle I bought online. Labels should accurately identify every active ingredient and its dose. Manufacturers should verify identity, strength, and contaminants. The FDA needs enough inspectors, scientists, and enforcement staff to police the market effectively. And products containing undeclared drugs should not be available years after a warning letter. Those, I think, are very reasonable reforms. Now, where I become less convinced is the idea that every dietary supplement should go through something resembling the prescription drug approval system. Vitamin D is not a new cancer medication. Magnesium is not a biologic drug. Basic prenatal vitamins should not require the same development pathway as a pharmaceutical making a disease treatment claim. Pre-market approval would raise costs considerably. Consumer prices would rise. Responsible smaller companies like ours could even disappear completely. Regulatory resources would become overwhelmed, reviewing relatively simple nutrient products while genuinely dangerous gray market companies continue selling through international websites and are constantly changing brand names to evade government controls. FDA approval like this would not automatically prove that every consumer taking the product will receive a meaningful benefit. Approved prescription medications still have side effects. They can still be used inappropriately. Ultimately, the FDA approval cannot replace individualized clinical judgment. My preferred system would be risk-based. Every supplement should be registered. Every product should meet enforceable standards for identity, strength, purity, contamination, and label accuracy. Every manufacturer should be traceable and accountable. But the evidentiary burden should increase with the claim and the risk. A basic nutrient making a modest nutritional claim should not face the same pathway as a stimulant blend promising rapid weight loss. A company implying that its product treats depression, diabetes, cancer, dementia should face a much higher standard than a company selling a properly labeled magnesium capsule. The stronger the claim, the stronger the required evidence. The greater the potential risk, the greater the required oversight. That makes more sense than pretending that every product belongs in exactly the same category. Even if adopted, none of these changes that were proposed will happen overnight. So what should someone do with the supplements already sitting in the kitchen cabinet? Me, I would ask 5 questions. Number 1, what specific problem am I trying to solve by taking this? I want to be healthier is not quite specific enough. Are we correcting iron deficiency? Are we preventing folate deficiency during pregnancy? Are we addressing inadequate vitamin B12 intake? trying to improve constipation, sleep, triglycerides, or exercise performance. A supplement should have a job. If you cannot explain why you're taking it, then reconsider whether it belongs in the regimen. Number 2, is there meaningful human evidence for this ingredient and this outcome? A biochemical mechanism is not quite the same as a clinical benefit. A supplement may increase a blood marker without making someone feel or function any better. Animal studies and cell culture studies can generate a hypothesis, but they do not establish that a product improves human health. Look for clinical evidence showing a measurable outcome in humans. Number 3, is the dose appropriate? The presence of a good ingredient alone does not rescue a bad dose of that good ingredient. Some products contain fairy dust amounts that are unlikely to actually do anything. Others combine multiple products and expose someone to excessive total doses. For example, vitamin D may appear in the multivitamin and the bone formula, and then you're taking a separate individual vitamin D capsule. That could lead to someone accidentally taking more than intended. Zinc may be in an immune product and in a multivitamin and a lozenge. The total intake matters. You want enough to elicit the desired health outcome and no more. Number 4, can I trust the manufacturer and the product? Look for transparent ingredient amounts rather than proprietary blends without specific ingredient totals. Look for a lot number, batch numbers, expiration date, and clear contact information. Independent certification through organizations such as USP, NSF, Consumer Lab can provide additional reassurance about manufacturing, identity, and contamination. Number 5, could this interact with my medication, my medical condition, surgery that's coming up, or laboratory testing? For example, vitamin K can interfere with warfarin. Also, St. John's wort can accelerate the metabolism of numerous medications and reduce their effectiveness. High-dose biotin can distort certain thyroid or hormone or cardiac laboratory tests. Calcium, magnesium, and iron can interfere with the absorption of levothyroxine in certain antibiotics. Long-term, excessive zinc can contribute to copper deficiency, and sedating supplements can add to the effects of prescription sleep medications, alcohol, or other central nervous system depressants. This is why supplements belong on the medication list that your doctor and pharmacist have. So the bottom line, I believe supplements provide real value. I use them. I recommend them. And yes, I sell them. But the industry should have to earn consumer trust. A company should not be allowed to hide behind the word natural. A label should not be a rough estimate. The words proprietary blend should not be used to conceal inadequate doses. Influencers should not be allowed to make disease claims that the manufacturer could never legally print on the bottle. And products containing hidden pharmaceutical drugs should be removed quickly, and those companies should be shut down. At the same time, I do not believe that every vitamin, mineral, and botanical should automatically be treated as though it were a brand new prescription medication. The better approach is mandatory transparency, enforceable quality standards, competent surveillance, and regulation that is proportional to the risks. Supplements should supplement. They should not replace food or sleep or exercise, medical evaluation, or necessary medication. And they should not replace critical thinking. The ACP is right that the current system needs modernization, but that modernization should raise the floor without destroying responsible access. The goal should not be fewer supplements simply for the sake of fewer supplements. The goal should be fewer bad products, fewer misleading claims, and much better information for consumers. This is not anti-supplement. This is pro-evidence, pro-quality, pro-transparency. And any reputable supplement company should be willing to stand behind all three.